Hi everybody, Grace here, and today I'm joined by a very special client of mine. Her name is Danielle Rosa. Hi Danielle, lovely to have you with us.
Hi,
And
Grace.
I'm very excited to have Danielle today because Danielle is actually just about a few hundred kilometers north of me, living in Italy. And Danielle was one of my clients who attended a retreat with me here in Italy back in 2015. In fact, she was on the very first retreat that I held in Italy. So I wanted you all to hear from Danielle today, just to get a taste of what it was like for one participant who flew all the way from Toronto at the time to attend our retreat in Puglia, Italy. Danielle, how are you today, my dear?
I'm wonderful, Grace. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm really happy to have you here. And I guess I just love to start by asking you, what was your, first of all, what made you come on the retreat in the first place, if you can recall, and why did you fly across the world to join us?
Well, there's many reasons that I can remember. The first reason was because I loved working with you, and you're holding a retreat for the first time in Italy, in Puglia, which I've always wanted to see. And at the specific hotel that I wanted to experience also. So it checked off all my desires in one stop shop. When you had introduced that to me, it was almost a yes, yes, yes,
Mhm.
right away. So I loved Italy. I loved Puglia. I wanted to experience it all, especially with a retreat. At that time, it was perfect. It was perfect timing, to be honest.
Lovely. Yeah, lovely. And what can you recall, Danielle, um, for those that are listening, tell us, what was your experience of the retreat? What stood out for you? Um,
Hmm. My experience of the retreat was, well, when I first arrived, I was extremely excited and everything was like, amazing. Of course, I hadn't seen you yet, but I got cozy and my room was fabulous, of course. I wouldn't expect any less. But I would say my experience of the retreat was just like you would say, coming home to me. It was a really uh, you really were an example of style and grace, but you're also about coming home to yourself and finding your unique voice or your unique way. And I feel like that was the essence of that experience for me. All the things that I loved were in front of me, were there at my exposure, but also the emotional side, the spiritual side was still benefiting as well, because I had my own space and time to really connect with me. And you were a great reflection of that, because you allowed that to naturally, you held that space for me at that time. So that's mainly what I would say was my experience.
and what would you say was like the number one thing that was worthwhile for you? Because you and I had been working on Skype as well, and we had
Mm-hmm.
been working in a different way. So, what for you made it, I guess, worthwhile to step into a container where we were in person together in a different way?
It was more personal, I guess. It was less words were needed, less things were physically needed. Um, but it was an emotional or a spiritual, I guess you could call it, um, gift,
Hmm.
because I remember there wasn't really that many words exchanged between me and you. Like, I would express something and you would you would just kind of hold that space for me. And although there were other people there, which was amazing, but I was more in a reflective, everything was kind of um sinking in or absorbing emotionally rather than, you know, active action oriented or physical.
Mhm.
Although the physical and, you know, the activities were there, which were awesome, but it was, the main takeaway was probably, it was just an um, emotional experience that really held me. It really filled me up. It allowed me
Yeah.
to feel confident or clear, even though I had so many questions and the answers weren't there. It just felt good. Yeah, it felt good to be there. And the words or the actions came later,
Yeah.
but it was just a great feeling. And I knew it was all good.
Yeah.
And it really
Yeah.
all was perfect. It all.
That tends to be the experience. It
Mhm.
is. That's why I wanted to bring women like you on, Danielle, because it is quite hard to put into words
Yeah.
that experience of retreat. But in fact, that is what we're doing, ladies. We are retreating away from the noise, away from the world. And as you said, Danielle, falling into that confident and clear space where no
Mhm.
words sometimes and no questions arise or
Right.
don't seem as urgent. I call that coming home to our true nature. It's incredible how the intellect slows down.
Mhm.
What can you tell us what's perhaps some of the results were for you? Because I heard you mention that, you know afterwards, or it wasn't there and then, it was afterwards that things began to shift. Can you talk a little about that?
Yeah. So there was one activity you had introduced at the end of the retreat where you got us to write down a letter for ourselves. Um, in and if a month or 2 months down the road we opened it up, what did we want to hear, what did we want to have happened? And I remember doing that activity and thinking, I'm just going to focus on the feeling
Yeah.
because I'm so used to being specific and it never worked out for me. So well, as quickly as I'd liked, but of course. So I remember that sticking with me and following through. I just felt a sense of ease in my decision making and in my life, that I was just going to focus on feeling good or doing the things that felt good at the time and letting that guide the way. And I have I have been doing that ever since, and not being too specific on myself and saying, by this time, by this date, these people. um, my life has literally shifted completely, and I feel like my old self again, like that when I was much younger, and I knew who I was, and I knew I wasn't scared of certain things, or I just felt confident in myself. And so I've just been following that feeling, focusing on being less specific, more general, and focusing on the good feelings of things and what I want out of an experience or out of my life or a situation. And that has unfolded into moving into a beautiful villa in Lake Como now with my boyfriend. We live fully like where people vacation. We live beside George Clooney, basically.
Wow.
um, our views are literally heavenly. We work in a place that is filled with happy people.
Yeah.
It's an uplifting place, and we get to enjoy Italy's life, and something that not maybe everyone wants, of course, the Italian life. But for me, it was such a way of lifestyle for me to really appreciate the beauty of what Italy brings, the food, the people, the views, the home, the architecture, the design, the fashion, all of that. I can go on, but And now I get to live that now. And I just continue to follow the feeling. I know what I want, of course, in specifics, but I'm not hard on myself in how fast I get there and who's involved anymore. You know, I want just to feel good in my everyday journey. And that's
yeah,
that's the way it is right now for me.
yeah.
So
I hear like your urgency fell away and the
yeah.
sort of an ease, your natural state took over, and it's continued to take the lead and has you now even living in Italy, and really an incredible lifestyle transformation, Danielle. I mean, judging by your Instagram, because I follow you on Instagram, you know, there's a whole shift into following the good feeling. And yeah, I think that's part of what we can underestimate when we're trying to create something, is, you know, that's really what we're looking for, ladies, is we're looking to come home to our good feeling and to follow that. So brilliant example of that. Just before we finish, can you think of a highlight of the retreat? Was there any highlight for you when you were here that you would say to someone who was sitting on the fence right now, hey, listen, it's worth getting on that airplane and getting there whilst you can? Anything stand out for you in particular? I know we did lots of different things, but anything in particular that you'd like to share?
Well, I would say if it seems exciting but scary all at the same time, it's probably the best decision to make right now. Because for me at that time, it was so exciting and almost everything I wanted to do, but it was, you know, I guess financially was really the only thing that was stopping me. And once I said yes to it, the finances came, of course. Like you know about that story, but it was kind of like, it's what I needed to do. And it was the most logical decision at that time to make, to move forward. And so sure, you have your whole life to decide on whether it's the best time. But for me, it was the most logical part and the most strongest part of me that wanted to go. And that's what made the decision, you know. And so I went, and it was, from there, it was not smooth sailing, but it was a beautiful journey to where I am right now. Because I don't know if I didn't come, if I would have taken the journey that I took, and I'm glad that I did. So if it seems like the best decision right now to do, then absolutely do it. And if it seems fun and exciting, do it, because it was mostly fun and exciting for me, you know, and then to focus on my questions and business was really a bonus. So my heart always led, you know, and of course there are going to be some fears maybe for some, but if there's more fun things or more exciting points for you, then honor them, because it does lead to honoring what you love. If travel is what you love, if food, if experiencing people, you know,
following wisdom.
Yeah.
You know, like your wisdom was stronger than your fear. I love that. Oh, sure. Well, Danielle, thank you. I'm looking at your Instagram here so I can share it with people, but thank you for sharing your experience coming on retreat in Italy. And for those of you that want to check out more about Danielle, she's like the ultimate lifestyle queen, totally, over on Instagram. Danielle_Rosa, ROSA, and you'll see some beautiful pics and some fabulous, inspiring, motivational pieces from Danielle. Thank you, Danielle. I look forward to reconnecting soon. And if you out there are interested in taking part in our next retreat, it's only 2 weeks away. If you are interested in taking part, I encourage you to step forward now. You can email me directly to set up a call on grace@citygirlconfidence.com. or you can apply on the application form where you'll set up a call with me anyway, which is in the link below. This is our annual retreat, ladies, so it will be a whole year again before the next one takes place, providing that another one takes place in Italy, unless we change location or direction. So if it is speaking to you, like Danielle, maybe you have that exciting part of you, but that insecure part about the money, or maybe you have that wisdom leading you, but that other part of you that's trying to hold you where you are. I'm encouraging you to get in touch today to really just get connected and see if it is the right step for you and how we can make that work. Look forward to hearing from you if it's a fit. And in the meantime, thank you so much, Danielle. Look forward to connecting soon.
My
Ciao.
pleasure, Grace. Ciao.
Ciao.